Hey guys, welcome back to the halftime analysis. We're joined by Boom today, who's talking about his second team. His second team is Real Madrid. How are you, mate? Welcome to the stream.
I'm good. Happy to be on this show finally.
Yep. We will get right into it in a minute. When a guest comes on, I start with just a brief description. How is your season going so far at Real Madrid?
A bit. It started off decent, but more recently, closing in after the World Cup, not so great from a Real Madrid standpoint.
Yep. Yeah, it has fizzled off a little bit. So let's get into it. And first segment that we do is hit and miss. Looking through your transfers, you didn't actually do much transfer business last summer. You only brought four players in, two players for the first team, one on a free transfer, one for 80 million euros, and the other two were young players who've gone on loan to other La Liga clubs. Did you want to go through your transfers and give me a hit and a miss for your transfers and why?
Well, Tuchemani, as we know, is a talented young midfielder, very much up and coming. I think he's been rarely a hit so far. He hasn't really been any at fault for the bad performances.
He had big shoes to fill as well. Obviously, we know how good Casemiro is because we signed him, and he's key for us, and
Mm.
he is that guy they've brought in to replace Casemiro, and he has done a good job. One hell of a signing. That's 80 million euros from Monaco. A lot of people wanted him. What do you expect from him in the future?
I expect him to be good. I'm not sure I'd expect him to really replace Casemiro as the role. I think they need someone else to do that Casemiro role, and for him to be more of the further up mid. I think he's better in like the box to box kind of situation rather than the break up play Casemiro type of role.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Then we have Rudiger. It's a good piece of business on a free. Like if he's the option of a free, Rudiger just coming off he had a brilliant season at Chelsea that one. So it was just a good piece of business. He's been fairly good at the back for Real
Yeah,
Madrid in most games.
yeah,
He's
quality
been
centre back.
trying.
Yeah, quality centre back, and to get a centre back of that quality on a free transfer, you can't complain. And
Yeah, Miguel and Antonio, they're just two kids that do have a right at the moment. You can't say hit because they haven't broken into anything. They've been sent out, so you can't really say hit with them at the moment. You'd have to lean towards miss at the moment, but they could be a hit at some
yep,
point.
yep. So who are you going for as your hit, and who are you going for as your miss for the Real Madrid summer transfer window?
I will go hit Rudiger. I think that was a good piece of for a free. And miss at the moment, I'm going to say Blanco.
Now we go on to your games. So as we do, I have broken down what I thought your most important games of the season so far. It was hard again to go through all the games and narrow them down, but I've done it. And we go to the Madrid derby first off. That was Atletico Madrid 1, Real Madrid 2. Did you want to talk us about that? Talk us through that game?
Yeah, it's a very interesting game. It's always cagey, the Madrid derby, especially at Atletico Madrid's ground. It's always going to be defensively. Their fans gave a lot of backlash to Vinicius Jr. in both the games we played against Atletico Madrid this season. It's always been cagey, a lot of words flying back and front, but in the end, a good first half from Real Madrid going 2-0, but then wasn't really much end product in the second half. It was kind of stale until Atletico Madrid got one back, and they might have been able to do something, but their player decided to do a typical Atletico Madrid kind of thing and get himself two yellow cards.
Yep, they do like a yellow card at Atletico. Simeone ball. Maybe that will change next year. It looks like Simeone is leaving at the end of the season, which will be interesting for the league, I think, after he's been there so long.
Yeah, but I think they need to do that. like replace them to Atletico Madrid because they're going backwards in my opinion. Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, sometimes it just gets stale, and like players get tired of seeing the same face in training every day. And how long has he been there now? It's a long time, isn't it? He
They've
must
been
be
there
going
a
up.
long time.
So yeah, I think a change would be good for him. Maybe a move to the Premier League for it feels like he's been linked for that Chelsea job for the last 10 years.
Yeah, they both need like a change of those things. We see how successful like Real Madrid were with changing, and even Barcelona in the league for when they got it right. Their changes. Sometimes you need the change of style.
Yeah, definitely. And next, talking about Barcelona, next we go to the Real Madrid Barcelona's first game, and that was 3-1 Real Madrid. Did you want to talk us about that?
Like I said,
Benzema.
at that time, that was when we were, like I said, at the beginning of the season, Real Madrid's form was fairly decent. They went into that game. Barcelona were at top of that one win would put us up on top, which we did manage to win and go on top. So there was a lot on that game because it was very close the league points at that stage.
Yeah.
And Barcelona, no Courtois in that one.
Yeah, Barcelona hadn't found their form they found at that time as well. They were struggling under.
They were still piecing it together. Yeah. They're kind of, but they weren't getting results, so that's why the league was so close at that moment. They were still getting results, but they weren't perfect. And Real Madrid were in a decent run of form at that point. Their team there, but you didn't know what you were going to get with this without Courtois, and they had to play Lunin in this one. But he did fairly good at keeping Barcelona quiet, and it's a game where Benzema showed up. He usually always gets a goal. Benzema, and pretty much this season, Real Madrid have at least got one goal in every game, so you knew they'd at least score.
Yeah, he's their key player now, and he obviously with Ronaldo, Ronaldo left, they didn't get who that was openly they wanted last summer in Mbappe, dragged out all summer. Did you think that affected why you didn't bring any more transfers in?
Probably. I think Real Madrid probably put all their eggs into that basket for most of it and didn't really have a plan.
Yeah.
For most things, because their next plan was to sign that very talented Enric for like a few seasons' time.
Yeah, definitely.
And Valverde, beautiful goal in this game from him. He was one of the. Yeah. At this point in the season, Valverde was getting all the headlines. He was scoring in pretty much most games at this stage.
Yeah,
and then Rodrigo is always a good option to come out on the bench for a goal.
I can't get over the Madrid's depth in midfield. Like, obviously they got Tchouaméni, they've got Valverde, they've still got
Camavinga.
They've got
So the problem with Camavinga is, like, I will mention it later on in one of the games that you put on this, but weirdly we're playing him as a left back.
I did see that. Yeah.
In a lot of these.
And then you've obviously still got Toni Kroos and Modric as well. So great depth in midfield. I know you lost Casemiro, but great depth in midfield. Anything else to add on that game?
No, it's just it was a good game for the most part, and it was at the point of the form of Real Madrid where getting results. So.
Yeah. Next was a disappointing one, and that was in the Champions League. That was RB Leipzig 3, Real Madrid 2. What a game!
Yeah, the RB Leipzig took Madrid fully by surprise with two very quick goals from Leipzig in the beginning of that game.
Yeah, a future Chelsea striker and a current, a past Chelsea striker getting on the score sheet there with Werner and
Guardiola, who's been linked to Chelsea a lot.
So yeah, but Chelsea are linked with everyone. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but you do say with the team, Real Madrid very much underestimated in a way, you could say. Like they played Camavinga as the number 10 in this, which it's one of the only we haven't really done that much this season playing Camavinga as a 10 role.
He's very versatile. If he can play anywhere in that midfield, left back.
But I
Out
think he
wide
needs
probably
to
as well.
go down one position at the moment,
Yeah.
master that, and then.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon he's a midfielder. I think that's
Rudiger was playing left back in the RB Leipzig game, which is
never seen that
interesting.
before.
But it kept the form. Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, they got on the score sheet. That just from a Real Madrid, that was the only positive of that game from a Real Madrid standpoint. But letting in 3 goals is not what you want, especially when you have your first choice keeper in, and then that Courtois.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a bad result, but he obviously still made it through the group.
The only option on the bench to change that game was Hazard, and we all know his.
Yeah, he's not had the best Madrid journey, has he?
This put a little bit of pressure on Real Madrid because then they needed to comfortably beat Celtic in the next one to go through, which they managed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you made it through though. So, do you think you've got a chance of winning the Champions League?
I think it's a typical Real Madrid thing to do is be absolutely terrible in the league and then somehow win the Champions League by the end of it. It could happen, but it all depends on Liverpool, the game.
I was about to say, it's very similar to Liverpool. Liverpool being so good in the Champions League and so poor in the league this season.
It's hard to call because of how bad form both teams are in at this particular stage of their.
Yeah, definitely. And next, did you want to go on to our next game? Real Vallecano 3, Real Madrid 2.
Exactly. This was a big shock at the time that this one happened. I tell you.
Yep.
No one expected this. It was directly after that comfortable win against Celtic.
Yep.
So things were high, and then in the 5th minute, Real Vallecano made it 1-0. It pretty much took them by shock. You could maybe say perhaps Real Madrid still had the hangover of qualifying, but they should be used to that by now, so they shouldn't have been slow out of the races. But you have to say fair play to Real Vallecano because they went 1-0 up, and then Real Madrid did pull it back, which is the annoying thing from a Real Madrid perspective. They did pull it back to take the lead back again, and then lost it completely before half-time, and then they got the winner in the second half. They were the much better team in the second half, Real Vallecano.
Yeah, definitely.
2 shots on target all game for Real Madrid, and that was the 2 goals.
Yeah, that is poor from a Real Madrid team. 2 shots on target. It's not seen, is it? It's like
and 50-50 possession, which is not what you want against Real Vallecano.
Yeah, definitely not. Do you have anything else to add on that game?
No, that was just one of many shocking results this season from a Real Madrid league perspective.
Yep. And next we had Villarreal 2, Real Madrid 1. Another shocking result. Obviously, Villarreal didn't start the season great themselves. They sacked their manager, so their manager's now back. It's now in the Prem. But yeah, Villarreal 2-1.
I don't know the second manager as he left himself before.
Did he leave?
I think he left before it was about to happen.
I haven't watched much of La Liga this year. I thought he was sacked. Fair enough. I knew he was doing bad.
He might have, but from my memory, I think he left before anything happened.
Yeah. So,
that's just Jeremy Pino, very good player. I like him in Villarreal. And the game that once again Real Madrid get a penalty, get themselves back into the game at 1-1, and then they threw it away by giving away a penalty.
Yep.
The game of penalties. Where Alaba was the unfortunate person that gave away the penalty.
Yeah.
He falls over. He falls over and touches the ball with his hand. It was a very unfortunate turn of events for Alaba.
Yeah. Another versatile player there. I did when he first joined. I wondered where they were going to play him because obviously at Bayern he started at left back and then went to centre back. So I was interested at the time, obviously with the centre back getting it on a bit. I thought the left back. I thought he was going to go straight in at centre back, but then they left back, and then they sold. They lost their full back, so they needed that cover there. So where has he mainly played this season?
Who were we talking about? Sorry.
Alaba.
Oh, Alaba. He's mainly played as the left centre back, to be fair to you.
Fair enough.
In most games, he's played because they've swapped and changed centre backs so many times this season. Real Madrid. They've not had a main centre back for like a lot of games pairing. It's been Alaba, Rudiger, Alaba, Militao. It's been swapping and changing.
Do you think that's why some of the inconsistency in results? You know how important a steady back line is.
I think the swapping and changing of team throughout the thing just isn't helping with injuries throughout the season. I do think that's played especially in the defensive side of things that haven't been great for Real Madrid.
Yeah, do you think they didn't really replace that like Ramos, who was that leader at the back for so long?
Yeah, because they had a steady partnership of Varane and Ramos for many, many years.
And then lost both in one window.
Yeah, it was never easy to replace that kind of thing because they, from being together for so long, they understood each other. You saw with like Varane and Ramos when they moved, they didn't have the greatest first seasons themselves because they helped each other.
Yeah. It's only now that Varane has turned into the player we know he can be.
Because he has a very similar, and Martinez is a very similar player to the Ramos kind of style, the aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. I do see that in him. So next we had the Real Madrid versus Barcelona game. That was a 3-1 loss for Real Madrid at Real Madrid to Barcelona. And did you want to get us onto that one?
This was the cup game.
Yeah.
They was an abysmal performance from a Real Madrid standpoint. It was you would have thought Real Madrid were the team playing kids in their midfield in this one. It was that Real Madrid was that open. It was like Moses parting the Red Sea.
Yeah.
It was just there. It's like you go to the airport and the traffic wardens telling the planes to go. This is what Real Madrid had the signs saying, "Go that way." Just go there. And they're carved open time and time again. Gavi and Pedri.
I was just about to say Pedri and Gavi. They're looking so good at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, in that game they look like Xavi and Iniesta just right next to each other.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, what two great players? They're going to be great for the future of Barcelona. Obviously, with rumours they might have to sell Fati soon as well. So because of their financial difficulties, so I think keeping those two will be key if they do lose Fati as well.
Yeah, and Real Madrid did not look like scoring whatsoever in this game. They were just trying to get it to Benzema all game. Benzema was just doing nothing. It looked like this is going to be the first game this season where Real Madrid did not score a single goal in. Before we got to the Mallorca one that happened just recently, it was like they usually score, but like that was looking like Real Madrid were not going to score at all. Yeah. And then a bit fortunate in the end where Benzema gets his goal.
Yeah.
Although it's not helped by the media team when he gets that tweeting, goal! It's like you lost 3-1 at that point. They gave up.
Yeah, a bit late. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add on the Madrid-Barcelona game?
Do you think this is the time compared to the one we talked about earlier where they weren't in this Barca were in their mode of form, of this one coming since the World Cup? Barca have been a different animal, increasing the distance between the two teams at this stage.
What do you think Xavi has changed since the World Cup to make them look so good now? Obviously, we've got them next on Thursday night. That's going to be a really interesting game. Two teams really on form. at the moment. That's going to be,
I don't know what he's really changed.
game of the week.
I think it's more that it's finally clicked. I don't think he's much changed anything. I think it's the same style, but it's just finally actually clicked what he's been trying to do the entire season.
Yeah.
With some of the players, like, although they have been hit with like fairly few injuries recently, Barcelona with Dembele and Busquets.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how.
It'd be interesting to see. They have, from my memory, in the last few games, Barca has struggled in like the first halves of those games, and then usually without them. And the last few games they had to break the deadlock in the second half, Barca. So they've not been smooth sailing.
I can see them struggling without Busquets. I think long term they need to find a replacement for Busquets anyway, but they haven't. They obviously got what's the name in this last summer? Frank Kessie, and it's just for some reason he's just not been fancied.
It's not worked out. He's been on the bench for like most of the games. That and Rafinha has not worked out for them either.
Yeah, hopefully with Dembele being out, Rafinha can take his chance. We know what he can do from the Premier League, and Frank Kessie, what a player he was for AC Milan. So hopefully he can be that replacement for Busquets. Oh, he's injured.
Very much like both Real Madrid and Barcelona have tried to slowly develop into young midfield, but Barca took the bullet and went fully for the two young midfielders straight away into the team, more so than Real Madrid still doing Cruz and Modric, the talented players. They're more taking their time with it, and you can see it's benefited Barcelona to just jump straight into it because they play without fear, Gavi and Pedri.
Yeah, definitely.
And they have a focal point up top of Robert Lewandowski, which helps.
Yes, he has been good for them this season. And so, I've got some questions for you. What do you think is, with the struggles, what do you think is the main struggle? Why Real Madrid and Barcelona and La Liga are struggling with their finances compared to other leagues like the Premier League?
I think the main one is the TV kind of rights, because they're not showing a lot of the places around like the world too much, like in England and stuff. Like with England, they made an agreement with the Premier League of money to be spread out between everyone with the TV rights. Whereas in Spain and La Liga with Real Madrid, they don't give their rights out to people that much.
Yeah,
their money, so therefore it was more enclosed to them, and they've been spending all that money there, so none has been saved up to spread out in the long term. They just spent all their money, and that's why at the moment Barcelona is in financial problems themselves and struggling to sign people in the game, which is why they have to go for the talented youngsters that they have.
Yeah, and
that's why Real Madrid have been spending just like in one or twos with free players as well. Real Madrid, it's just the TV money isn't there because both Real Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico Madrid in a way don't want to spread it out to the entire Spanish pyramid.
Yeah. And as a Madrid fan, I think I know your take on it anyway, but the Super League, obviously that's come back into the news this week. Obviously, we know that Premier League clubs are banned from going back into it, but Real Madrid and Barcelona and Juventus have approached 80 unknown clubs at this point to join them. What's your thoughts on the re-merger of the Super League?
I still don't like it, although I'm in the opinion that the Champions League format is basically the Super League's format.
Yeah.
the new one that's coming in. So there's not much. I don't know why they're advertising a change, because it's not going to change much even if we go Super League at this point, because the format's the same in the Champions League as what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So the only one is that they don't have as much money to Real Madrid, Juventus, and Barca's pocket. That's their problem.
Yeah.
With the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
For money finance, because they've been so reckless, Barca and Real Madrid, for the last few years with money, that they have none. And we see Juventus, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
More so than the other two.
Yeah.
So you can see why they want it, why the owners of these three clubs would want this.
Yeah. Do you think long term? I know a lot of people saying it's inevitable that eventually something like this is going to come in. Do you think that's the case? Or there's obviously the other
I don't
side
think
that
it's quite inevitable. I think eventually there might be a compromise with money situation with UEFA still controlling it, but maybe giving a bit more to those clubs, to the clubs more so than their own pocket eventually.
it's got to find somewhere around it. But so yes, the next question is why? Obviously, there's a lot over the years. There's been a lot of legends at Real Madrid who, when they've left, just before they've left the club, Ancelotti a bit this year. Obviously, what Ancelotti's done at that club over 2 periods is awesome, and I'd say he's got to be down as a Real Madrid legend himself, and he's been getting a lot of
A
stick.
football legend in general.
Yeah, and he's been getting a lot of stick himself this season from Real Madrid fans. And then you've had booing of Ronaldo, Casillas, Gareth Bale, who's Ronaldo and Gareth Bale won them Champions League on their own. Why do you think the fans have this this mentality to boo their own?
I think throughout the years of dominance and success that Real Madrid had, and like especially in Europe and stuff, I think the match going fans in Madrid, the Madristas, the hardcore Madristas, I think they've gotten a bit accustomed to winning, and when it's not winning, they look for you're to blame. Could be we're winning before this.
Yeah.
And they pick someone to blame, like if they're having a bad performance. For example, Gareth Bale there was one season where he didn't have a good run of form. That's when this hate started for him. Because it was an easy target because he didn't want to learn Spanish and to speak it, so it was the easiest pick on that person. He doesn't even want to be here because he's clearly not learning to speak Spanish the entire time. And with Ronaldo, he was your main person, so they would just blame the main person when they don't win.
Yeah.
It's just, and now with Ancelotti, because after him being very successful last season, they don't want to take another season without success.
Yeah.
So they're blaming him for it, even though what I think they need to look at, what I look at, is that the team itself is getting older. They lost key players. It's getting older. They're trying to bet in youngsters. I very much view this as is probably going to be a transition season, maybe a Champions League run, but mainly a transition season. That maybe they'll only win the Club World Cup that they just won the other day. Might be the only trophy that comes in, because it's very much transition up and down.
Obviously, there is rumours that at the end of the season, Ancelotti. Well, originally there was rumours he was going to retire, but there's a lot of rumours recently.
There's a lot of Brazil rumours coming up.
That he might take the Brazil national job. So, if he does leave at the end of the season, who do you think is that next Madrid manager in the line?
That's hard. There's quite a few people that you could see maybe taking the Madrid job, but I couldn't really make this. In Madrid, they're very interesting thing. They could even try and go back in for these end, knowing that the man hasn't taken another job.
Even I wouldn't even write off Poch. He's been linked with that job.
Been linked. Poch has been linked to the United and Real Madrid jobs for his entire career at this point.
Yeah, and
every time they come sort of available.
Yeah, the president does like him, so that wouldn't surprise me.
For all we know, he could be waiting for that Poch, and that's why he's not gone anywhere.
Yeah, so that does today's interview. Where can we find you, Boom?
You can find me at Crazy Boom _ on both Twitch and Twitter, and Boompool on YouTube.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to Boom for coming on. Great episode again. Catch us next week. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, turn that bell on so you never miss an upload. This has been the Football Nation halftime analysis with Johnno. See you next week.